Hey everyone, Krista back again. So we're at work and we do a bunch of fun different things, and folks seem to like when I stream doing the fun different things. You're right there on the computer, the camera's up too. Okay, so we're doing battery cables today. One of our fuel tank kits requires a longer cable, and it needs that longer cable because we relocate the battery with a new tank. So we've got a whole bunch of, I always forget, I think it's 4H, 4AWG. So this is pretty amazing battery cable actually. It's far better than it needs to be. H4AWG. It's from, I think, batterycables.com or net or something. So we have a whole bunch of these. We cut them to length. I have a sample cable I have set aside. And so we never use this one. And then I feel like the angle's weird. I don't know. Well, that's a little better, I guess. So I use these style of cutters for big cables. This one is a brand made from one of those box stores, but if you get it from Harbor Freight or wherever else, they're all pretty good. I've had a few brands of these in the past, and they all get the job done for cutting. You also are going to want some adhesive lined ink strip, and I spilled a bunch because that's how I roll. Why should I ever make anything easy for myself? I don't know. And then for this kit, the way we have the batteries for the battery cables routed, we have one straight in and one for 90 degree. I don't know how many my brain is gonna let us do today, so let's see how this goes. Um, I have this hydraulic crimper. This is the cheapo kit from that Jumbo website. I think it was like 50 bucks, I don't know. And it comes with a bunch of dies. Um, and so it didn't quite work out right to have a die on both sides with this exact cable. So then I just turned it over and did it flat, and then that didn't work either. So then I kind of machined that a little bit on the mill. So here's an example of why you would want a mill. I wanted to put a little cut in it that matched this, and then the little rounded part to, I don't know, maybe that would show up, who knows. And then they go in here and are held in by that. So this pumps a piston up from the bottom, smashes them together, and you can crimp the end on it. So 1, 2, 3. We're going to do at least 3. How's that? I think we have 3 tanks. I need to make these 4 anyway, so why don't we just go ahead and force ourselves to do 4 at least. I don't know if you hear the loud machining noise in the background. That is our rotational molding machine, and right now we're making 2 fuel tanks. So they make a tool with like a built-in razor blade you can clamp on and spin it around. And I'm sure it's probably not that expensive. If it was very critical we didn't cut any of the conductors, then yes, we would use that tool. I just kind of line it up a little. and then I just squeeze in real gently, and you can tell when you get rubber. Then I open it and then just pull. So like you can kind of see there's one little stretch of rubber on each side that's still attached. Perfect. So there's an end. Sometimes I do these different ways. Oh my gosh, that's almost perfect. There's just the slightest little gap. Sometimes I'll do all of them, like I'll do all the trimming. That's a little bit weird. Okay. When the shop was in San Diego, we actually paid the guy we bought the wire from. He was the mobile truck that did interstate battery servicing for power sports. And so he's he sold cable as well as batteries, and he and his kid would do side work because his kid was autistic, and it was great monotonous work that could earn income, and it got him and his kid productive, and it was good stuff. Um, it's just a little weird to keep doing that when they're not local, so we just do it ourselves now. And that's the crimp. Part of where I came to the decision on this crimp was I cut through it, I think with a cutoff wheel or something, but I did that to check the integrity of the crimp, and it flows the copper, so it's a really strong fused joint. So a gotcha that exists in life a lot is I put the terminal on without the heat shrink. But in this case, I already know it'll fit. On top of that, we have the other end open. So it's just something to pay attention to. That's a gotcha. And usually it's a gotcha I would do to myself because that's how I roll. So let's just do 4 straight ends. If I was doing this all day, I would set up the jig probably with a work stop, and I don't know. It's just you can clamp things in a vise, clamp them to a table. There's all sorts of ways you can pull that off. Normally I do this a little bit quicker probably, but I don't want to screw it up because I'm flapping my lips and running my mouth and trying to think what I might say next. So I'm just sort of double checking my work as I go. So you just tighten it up all the way, and then at some point, the I guess it has an internal relief because it just you feel it, you pump and it keeps going, but it's not moving. Another great crimp. And also you can check by pulling on it. Before I transitioned, I didn't really think much about how much effort this tool took. And now that I've been on hormones a little over a year, it actually is kind of challenging, and um, I have to brace it and use different body mechanics before I could pretty easily just do it. And so that's definitely. Um, I've always been very sensitive to when I would have female coworkers do tasks that it was fair or that they were using proper body mechanics. So it was a little bit of a surprise when I found out that yes, I was really stronger. Another great crimp. So somehow I determined that these were 52 inches long. I have no idea how I determined that, but I spec that on the sheet. Maybe it's from bend to eyelet, you know, bend to eyelet. I don't know. So anytime you're doing these tasks, it's about kind of coming up with a workflow that helps you not make errors. So here maybe you can see I set the terminal. I want the larger end facing up and the smaller end is facing the battery. And then I just loaded it enough that it's holding that piece for me. Now I can put the cable in. That's another way you can do it. Um, the end of the terminal has a flare, so you don't want to crimp against the flare. You can, it'll be fine, but it's bad form. Do not cut the end of this one. Oh, it just occurred to me I could probably take one of the ends I cut off and lay it there as a work stop. That would work. Now we shove it in and smash. Well, now it's acting like it's not doing the relief. Maybe it isn't. I just popped my shoulder doing that. Yay. It's nice and tight. Now we're going to do the other side. Oh, crap. Alright, so on this one, we're going to have it hug close to something, so we want the flat this way, so it needs to go like that. And there's a whole lot of strands in there, which is great for transmitting electrons. If you can, try to get all the strands into the ferrule of the terminal. That always helps. I mean, it's just more professional that way. With that many, one or two strands missing, not the end of the world. So you might say, well, why are you doing this? Why don't you pay someone? Quite honestly, the business doesn't make enough revenue to support much payroll. Like we're really we're really lucky to have survived as well as we did from COVID. Our sales basically just disappeared for like 2 or 3 months. And if we hadn't have gotten that loan, we would not have been able to pay rent. I mean, we couldn't have paid rent and payroll. So, like, I initiated and founded the business 20 years ago, 25 years ago, and then now it's run by a relative Ann. There's lots of different ways you can make these connections on battery cables, but basically you need to make it so it's wickedly strong and secure. And if possible, you make the metal flow, like it flows together, it becomes one. We did use, there was another connector we had or something, and we used the hydraulic press. I might need to go find that technology and see about using it again. It's just that this is right here and the setup's easier for each part. You can also buy things that look like bolt cutters that have dies in the end. You can select different sizes. Those to me don't work once you get a thickness of wire that's greater than, say, 6 gauge. Like 6 gauge is about it. Of course, remember, the lower the number, the bigger it is. Because why would it be easy? I mean, that's just how I roll. I'm used to it being weird, difficult, hard, or confusing. There must be air bubbles in in this tool. It's got a little bit different performance each time. Great crimps. Another tool I've seen people use to make crimps is like something you put down and then you hit it with a hammer. I don't do well with loud noises, so maybe that's not the best for me. That, and I'm probably not the only autistic person of me hitting something with a hammer. It's like my whole life. I'm 51, and like it wasn't until just recently anyone cared about stuff like neurodivergency. And it's like my whole life would have been made better if I'd have just understood simple things now. Like, hey, yeah, bright lights might physically scare you, loud noises might physically scare you. Oh, yeah, scenes drive you crazy. Like, it sounds easy to just say, oh, well, I can ignore that, but you can't. I sort of wish it hadn't been sort of swept under the rug, I guess. Made fun of, minimized. So now we have 8 ends we need to do heat shrink on. I'm pretty sure we could put the heat shrink over the other end if we cared, if we wanted to. I don't care, it's just right here, do it. So I think all of these parts you see came from batterycables.com, automotive battery cables, automotive cables. The pricing was as good as anywhere else. They had all the parts I wanted and the quantities I wanted. It's like, I don't even know if I could piecemeal it together from other vendors and save money. Now we need to do heat shrink. So you'll recognize the Chicago brand as from the Harbor Freight franchise. I've never had one of their heat guns fail, but I've lost enough of them in time. All right, how do I want to do this? Go in. So part of like things I always love seeing in people's videos, not just how they do stuff, but why. And so with my videos, I'm gonna say why pretty often. So if I do something and you're like, whoa, what did she just do? You can make a comment and then say, hey, what was up with this that you just did? Because there's probably gonna be a why. And I told you about me in the hard way, so pretty much anything why it's gonna be because I wrecked that shit and I need to save money. Is it time?
You want me to just go ahead and do it while you're doing that?
Yes, please. We're teaching Nick how to run the oven. So let me go do that real quick. I'll be back in a minute. So yeah, yeah. There's all kinds of different things that I've learned in a whole bunch of years, and a whole bunch of different processes and industries. So I'll be, when I think of something fun, I'll make a little video and talk about it and share my knowledge. So pretty much anything I do, like, consider me to be the example at least of words to Google, and just one way to do it. I try to do things right by researching best of practice. However, best of practice may not always apply for each situation. I have a huge emphasis on quality and also on cost. So while you're doing this with the heat gun on the ends, um, it might seem kind of obvious, but the ends get really hot, so don't burn yourself. Because that is something I've done. And then I do the heat shrink until I see a little bit of goo come out around the joint next to the cable. Also, these are for metric application, but quarter-inch through hole is 6.4 millimeters, so it's great for a 6 millimeter fastener. No worries there. See, I ran over there because I wanted to get temperature reading on the molds as they came out of the oven. And they were 413 and 419, I think, Fahrenheit, which is exactly what we want. So yeah, I mean, it quote unquote is sort of easy to do battery cables, but they are a good bit of work. They do take a bit of time. Um, I've had a few people like write and thank me for the professional cables I included with our kit, and that was with when I did it or when our vendor and his kid did it. Like they did the same exact great job. How that other end is hot, it touched my leg. And don't nobody give me crap about what I wear and work. My shop. When you pay my bills and buy my wardrobe, you can care. So there you go. A real quickie short video on how to do battery cables. Not short. I guess I'm gonna watch this at some point. So this allegedly digital gizmo is kind of neat in that it does have a cooldown. So, but be aware it's still putting hot air if you are not me. And I think that's it for this one. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, there you go. Half an hour to do 4 battery cables. There's some setup, but whatever. All right, we'll talk to you later. See you next time. Subscribe thing, because then you'll see it. Like you'll get notifications the next time I'm Psycho. I kind of do live. I'm not really gonna do much recording loading up until such point as editing and uploading is easier than just going live and winging it. We'll see how that rolls. I'd rather drag my laptop out with an Ethernet cable and just go for it and be me, and then I don't have the extra pressure of the presentation after the fact. It's just you get it, you've got it, and that's all there is. So thanks y'all. I'll talk to you later.